Beep, 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 beep. Welcome to the court of the EDI Jester, ladies and gentle beings. One hopes you are well. Buy me a coffee, blah, blah, blah. Usual, right? Okay, let's get straight into it today because I'm really pleased with this. This is extraordinary stuff. It's a very, very good Twitter thread that I think it's worth bringing everybody's attention to because something is quite rotten in the state of Denmark. Not literally, I mean in the UK. But this thread goes some way to explaining what the hell is going on. And I think it's terribly interesting. So the thread comes from an organisation or an individual, Claire Page, no secret lessons. And by that, Claire means the provision of secret lesson plans in schools should not be able to happen. And it's a parent-led campaign for transparency in UK schools, where you can find out, there's details about the work that they're up to. They've got a court case pending with a crowd justice website where Claire will explain a bit more about what's going on. Usual stuff, yeah. Why do we have to do this? It's just insane and it's just madness that this is happening at all. But there we go. So what we've got that I thought was particularly interesting is a tweet from Claire, which is a number that are together, obviously a thread, but that I think you'll find particularly interesting if you go and take a look at the thread, because it does cover an awful lot of ground. And the thread is entitled, a thread on @educationgov.uk, gov.uk, RSHE review, right? Relationships, sex education, health, and all that stuff that they do with the kids at school. They've convened an online conference, right, has been convened by the Westminster Education Forum to discuss the next steps for RSHE as part of the RSHE review brought forward by Rishi Sunak. Now, you may be aware that Rishi Sunak said, we need to do something about this. We need to have a look at this. There's something not quite right. And I'm glad that he did, because we seem to be moving in the right direction if that's the case. However, right, this particular thing, which is in the Westminster Forum project, says next step for relationship, sex and health education in England's primary and secondary schools. And what's happened here is that Claire has taken a particularly close look at what exactly is on the agendas. So let's have a look. What is on the agendas? Well, the chair, to begin with, is Lord Lucas CD, and the keynote speakers include Paul Penny, head of RSHE and Citizen Policy Unit DFE, Dr. Polly Haste, subject lead for PSHE, RSHE and Citizenship at Ofsted. That worries me. Jenny Barksfield, Deputy Chief Executive Officer and Principal Subject Specialist from the PSHE Association. Yeah, I know. Is it me, or is that just the people that put the original stuff together? I don't know. See, worrying, isn't it? Good job, Caroline. Caroline, what is wrong with me today? Good job that Claire is actually on the case. Okay, so it seems, says Claire, it seems that in this element of the review, the same people, roles and organisations who gave us the unfolding disaster of the 2019 RSE guidance will be marking their own homework. What a lovely way to put it, thank you, Claire. Will then be marking their own homework. The conference description communicates a routine, business-as-usual approach and employs the typical slippery slope and vague speak I have come to associate with DFE missives, Department for Education DFE there, DFE missives, which belies the radical ideology that tends to underpin it. Right? So then we've got what the conference will focus on, and this is a screenshot that Claire's put in amongst her tweets. And it says the conference focuses on the future of the relationship, sex and health education curriculum in England. It will be a timely opportunity to discuss the Department for Education's recently announced independent expert panel review, which will assess the current content of RSHE, how protection can be put in place to ensure children understand what they are being taught, and how age ratings can be introduced for different parts of the curriculum. It's really strange. It's really strange. The panel is expected to provide recommendations to the Secretary of State. And again, some of the people that I've mentioned previously are mentioned, and talking about curriculum design and development, standard strategy. And what really, it just feels a bit, here we are, we're just back where we always were type thing. Right? It doesn't feel any different. It feels exactly the same, in fact. That's what I would say. Claire then continues, delegates will look at the key issues with implementation of the current curriculum, now compulsory in England's primary and secondary schools since 2021. Key issues with implementation, ? Asked Claire. What a splendid understatement, given that resources like these abound in schools. And then Claire provides us with some excellent excellent examples there. And then there's pictures. One in particular says, for example, why penis in vagina sex can be met. Really, penis in vagina sex. And also the gendered unicorn, talking about, being at birth, a sex assigned at birth, as well as various other articles that you may want to take a look at. That's the stuff they want to teach your kids. And then also, furthermore, we've got more examples of these lessons in schools, including one that's got a picture of tampons saying all genders can menstruate, and another one where somebody is meant to be visiting the gender identity planet. It's absolutely reprehensible. It's essentially propaganda being fed to your children from the age of primary. And I can understand that Claire is finding it difficult to understand that there is such a blasé attitude within the conference setup to having to look at this stuff and say, right, get this out of the curriculum and get it gone. I find it deeply worrying, and particularly because I know Ofsted have form for marking people up for doing this rather than marking them down, which should automatically be a fail. I mean, this is in the schools. Ofsted should go, that's it, you failed. It's that big a red flag, and I don't understand why we haven't got it going on. Claire provides more information again, and we then have flags for lesbian, gay, bisexual, which are all separate, and then pansexual, asexual, straight, and it goes on and on and on. And it's essentially, welcome to TQM, LG, it's all the usual nonsense that you'd expect. And as Claire continues, the conference will also discuss the DFE's additional recently announced independent expert panel review, which will assess the current content of the RSHE, how protection can be put in place to ensure children understand what they are being taught, and how age ratings can be introduced. It's the bit I read earlier. Isn't that a neat twist? Says Claire. Protection will be put in place, not to stop misleading gender theory and sexualising material reaching kids, but only to ensure children understand what they are being taught, as if it was merely lost in translation or a failure of pupils to get it, when you and I, and as we all know, it's not that at all. It's a complete indoctrination of children with cobblers. Essentially, the DFE gives no sign of recognition that the 2019 RSE guidelines has caused an urgent safeguarding problem in schools, and that some of the material is not just being taught to the young, but it is inherently indoctrinating and should never be in front of children at all, says Claire, continuing on in her Twitter thread that I put in links for in the Dubris. How are children supposed to ever understand the scientifically inaccurate gender unicorn? What is the age rating for being told you might be born in the wrong body? And when is the right time for teachers to ask children to discuss masturbation in front of the class, or to leave links to adult porn sites in the path of children? The other speakers at the conference, and here's where it starts to get meaty, the other speakers at the conference are further illuminating of the DFE's future vision for RSHE, and seem to indicate that they are in denial about the horrendous mess they have made, or are purposefully doubling down. The speakers include, and there's a list, Laura Murphy, Peter Leonard, a list of those speakers, and then what Claire does kindly for us is go into each speaker. So Matilda Lawrence Jubb, who's one of them, is co-founder of an organisation called Split Banana. Some might recall that Split Banana is the sex-positive RSE provider who signposted children to a website created by a porn director called Erica Lust, which in 3 live links from Split Banana's sites reached her porn channel. Right? Yep. They also claim, says Claire, that there are a lot of great feminist porn out there, and that teachers should help kids build up their critical eye so that they can critically value the porn. Just get lost, right? One might also question whether Split Banana's teaching is sufficiently politically impartial to adhere to the Education Act, sections 406 and section 407. For example, they describe the following politicised approach, including exploring the links between the gender binary and colonialism, which is, people that aren't white didn't know about the gender binary. Yeah, get lost, you bunch of wibble merchants. Go and read the rest of the thread, folks. It's fascinating. And in addition to that, Caroline has kindly provided... Caroline, stop it, Barry! Claire has kindly provided us with lots of images for saving there, folks, including ridiculous ones that are being used in schools. This is the kind of stuff that parents need to know, because parents, it now appears, if we take at face value what Claire sees, and I concur with Claire, what she sees, that we can take at face value that the government intends to do absolutely nothing about this at all. Nothing. Because if they did, they could do it overnight. All they have to do is follow what they've done in America. Read it. Is that what they did? Yeah, right, okay. Get it in. We'll put it into law. Let's stop it now. Yeah. And then they've got various other people from, partisan LGBTQAI plus people who are, just pushing nuttery. Go and have a look. Go and have a look. Get the images. Get the idea of what Claire is saying. It's a very sensible takedown, and I think from that perspective, it may be helpful if you're a parent who is about to take on a school or has a child you're well aware could be at risk of being indoctrinated by these people. Because according to what I'm seeing, and I think Claire is saying this to a certain degree, I'm seeing it to a greater degree, the government have absolutely no intention of doing anything with this except kicking it into the long grass. And if they kick it into the long grass and Labour pick it up when they get in power, which it looks like they will, oh boy, are your kids in trouble then. Have fun. I'll see you later.